Welcome back. I've been putting out a lot of videos, sorry. I know when I put out a lot of videos, it's probably like too much to keep up with for people. I'm just in my own little world. But I thought I'd go through some things here because this is the gravity map. So this is the magnetic anomaly map. This is the gravity map. Pretty much the same region. We see this thing. But we really don't see that here very well, which is interesting. So I started looking around here, found some pretty cool stuff, but I thought before I went into that, I would just kind of glance through these. So this is what we're looking at, the vertical gravity map, gradient grid. They also have one at different times, I guess. So let's see. Where I guess we can scroll through time. Not that excited by that one. Without Earth expansion accounted for. Rodinia map, that's pretty cool. Geology map. I guess showing different rock types. Click me to see legend. Whoa. So separated by age. Extrusive endogenous. Age, oceanic crust. That's real cool. Wow. We can see the Deccan traps. It's even labeled. The date. Some dates on here. I've never seen this. I guess for the large igneous provinces, there's dates. This must be the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province ring. Going over here, yeah. It must be. I don't see a date, I guess. Very cool. Okay. Rodinia map. I don't know. I'm like, where are we looking at? Whoa. Now we're approaching when the Earth expansion began. So that was leading into it by some process when the Earth became like it was. So it really was a single landmass around this time. Okay. So, let's go here. I started posting, so let's just go ahead. Posted this also. Kind of circling relatively the like dendritic regions of this, where the side of the shallogram also goes out here. I noticed after doing this, more like that, even something like that. Out to like right there, up that way, across, and generally across there. Okay. So I posted a gravity anomaly map of North America. Definitely need to start using this map like I have done with the magnetic anomaly map. I mean, we can really clearly see around Hudson Bay, the Canadian Shield, this like distinct low gravity anomaly, which to me was shaped by the eddy of water that was flowing here. That was just deepest here. The most pressure was here. So it was pushing into the crust the most and thinning it. But there were upwellings of undercurrents pushing the crust up so that it actually is above sea level still. But it still has a low magnetic anomaly. So there's that. This is, I believe, okay, Africa. Yeah, this is Africa. It's so hard to tell sometimes. I was thinking this was Indonesia. Interesting that maybe it does have some kind of relationship, where this is like the spill zone in the Himalayas. Like over here. Some kind of relationship. Okay, so there's that. This region in general, we're going to look at the map, but let me just go through these, I guess. This I thought was interesting. Just here's the mantle puncture hole region over here going this way. Is this low gravity, and then another low gravity with like a pinch zone where it kind of amassed high gravity. And then this really started to pique my interest. Here's the Sarastran Peninsula, Girnar, and then down here in this region, which if we look here, we don't even see anything. The data's just not, even if anything is there, I don't see it. I think it would still be visible like here. It's not defined enough to see it, but when we look at this, I guess that's Girnar. Oh no, there's Girnar. That's there's Girnar, that's Barda Hills and Alec Hill. I guess are substantial gravitational anomalies compared to Girnar. But there's this. That has a path leading down to an inverse anomaly, as if the connection between layers was broken. So this one has a low gravity, so let's just go here. Below, so low. Let me move me off of that. Okay. Blue so low. But then it points down here at this, which then points at this, which points at this. This one is inverse, so it's surrounded by blue, but it's red. So it's like a high anomaly, low anomaly. These are them at the same magnification. It looks like this one's a little bigger, honestly. But it has, so let's go back here. Let's go here. It's sort of triangular, even though it may be even hexagonal to it up here, at least. Like all sorts of shapes, generally circular, but having like a triangle to it as well. Okay, let's keep it the same size though, here. And somehow we're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. Okay, we're off to the side a little bit. We gotta go this way. Okay, that's possibly like a nucleus that was centered to it all. Did I pass it? This. So it's pretty triangular also. Okay, now I'll zoom out a bit. It's got a peak that has sort of hexagonal boundaries like out here. Distinctly related. My thought was, what if it was literally atop it and then slid away, but left behind like a nub that this one's missing because it's over here now, and like this edge of the crust was actually at one point here, but it slid away. Like if this was all the way up there, some kind of disconnect between the layers happened where it slid away. Maybe because of just the mantle flows that were occurring. Because essentially there's basalt flows going out across here that then flow out across here and out into here. But maybe they literally start to like churn the underlayer. Oh my god, I have so many. Okay. Like push this forward in this region. I don't know if that fits the age. I think that this is older and it gets younger in here, so that wouldn't really fit. I'm not sure exactly what the relationship is. I really don't know if this is documented anywhere. It's not where the Shiva crater is. The Shiva crater... let's see. Let me find the Shiva crater. Maybe it is where the Shiva crater is. Okay, it's related to the Shiva crater. Okay, it's the Shiva crater. It's the Shiva crater. I legitimately thought it was further west. I thought it was actually at this boundary. So it's right there. So the Shiva crater, which is dated to the KT boundary, is related to this structure down here, which is an atoll, the largest atoll in the world. Atoll. Ring-shaped reef island or chain of islands formed of coral. Coral, I've previously, in I think Florida supernovae episode, supernova with an E at the end for plural. That one, I talked about the potential of coral reef being like expansive nova of a nucleus, like a star, that is visible in ways in Florida, in the coral reefs there. Maybe like a nova also is like a Shiva crater in this instance that produced a ring below, but it happened at a certain layer downward that it detached the bottom layer, detached this like surroundings from the undersurface of the continental crust here, because it's literally below it. The like nova occurs, detaches it, but in so doing puts a atoll that's a result of the nova event. This is called Chagos Great Bank. This geology. It's like a living supernova. Don't know much about It's probably going to be hard to find much on this. Let's see. Scholar. Great. I tried to look around a little bit to find like geology studies. When did it form? I think I did find something that was talking about this place. Oh my god. I know. This. Occurred volcanism at this site, which I can't see the paper, occurred near or on the central Indian spreading ridge shortly after separation of this place and the banks, 35 million. So, at 35 million, that's something worth noting. This region, which is that other place, Sayadamalha. I guess the bottom one and the top one. So here, this was attached. They were attached. Possibly supported by. Like this, literally atop it, and then it slid off as it this fracture went between. It pulled one layer to one side, one layer to the other. But that would suggest that this whole stretch was generally attached to there. Like, it can't just be this and this. As much as I'd like to simplify it and just be like, this was... Although if we look at these lines, it looks like maybe it was actually more up there and not actually atop it. There might be some papers. Maybe this. Got zoomed in a bunch to take a screenshot of something. 1971, that's not looking promising. Frequent ridge jumps. Okay, before I go on a tangent, let's just leave it at that for now. There's some relationship between these, and seemingly Girnar, the Shiva crater, all this, like, I guess maybe this is related to current going between Saurashtra out this way and then like channeling this way maybe, and then channeling this way, maybe running into resistance and maybe pushing this along the way, and where it runs into resistance is another current that then they interact and it helps etch this way, maybe, but separates a chunk that maybe was there. Like, maybe this stuff was generally attached over here. Like, could that have been here? Seychelles. It's one of those things. I don't know if we saw that one yet. From the astronaut. Spaceman. Major Tom. Maybe he should go by Major Tom. It does. Let's see. Seychelles plate. Geology, India. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, it was generally. Doesn't show the others. Seychelles, they show it below. This was here? Like in here? So this outflow was running into Seychelles? Like this way even? relatively center this structure, and with this and this and maybe that and just that to this whole region. Like a nucleus. Like a shared electron that Africa has taken from Asia, where a chunk of Asia is now on the outer boundary in this like slot occupying one of the electrons. Maybe 2 electrons? I don't know. I guess this also probably came from there. This is from here, so it's like part of Africa more. I'm not completely sold. That's without looking into it further to see how strong the evidence is that Seychelles was like physically atop the continental shelf and not just like other continental shelf outside of it along this boundary. Because it does have a shape that could maybe... It's got to go in and then around like that. And it could do that here too, in and around. But I feel like there'd be... Or maybe, I guess maybe. I said maybe. Maybe the atoll was like a pillar between a underlayer like this layer and like a higher layer had a intermediary layer, but the atoll is pretty tall. So it's probably fed by an outflow this way. From here going this way. Inform then, I'd have to find some more geological studies to really pinpoint which is a more likely process for this, but certainly there's something of interest there. That's cool. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? We got a lot of ripples. Like, this is something I noticed in this map. It's not in it's not in this map. Like the same location is here. So we're looking around the mantle puncture hole. Here's the mantle puncture hole, maybe here. One second. Okay, here's a mantle puncture hole. Is it like a spine? A volley, something trend, something like that. I have a rally, I don't remember. But it's like the spine towards the feet of the bird. So that's interesting that we see this structure, this right here, very reminiscent of, first of all, this one. here. Like how it goes out. And then let me pull up the... If we go to where that image is from generally. Here. Right here. You can see from here down this way and then that way. This way and that way with a divide down the middle. Very reminiscent of this shape. Even with like some nodes, opposite sides. That's totally different scale, mind you. So this is Gurnar right there, pointing all the way across. So definitely some relationship between this and Gurnar that I have not picked up on. Like it's just not visible here. Let's go out here. Also not visible here. Interesting, because it looks kind of staggered. It's not nearly as straight, but it points like right in this region. It's not here. That would be really interesting if it pointed at that. Where Damodar Kund is. Although maybe this goes towards it. That's probably the river. 8429, yeah, that's the river. I tried to find it on the magnetic anomaly map. 8429 is like right there. So that's this river. So we can see that river on this. We cannot see it on here. It's like right here somewhere. Like right there. I tried to find a magnetic anomaly map specific to this region to get a better idea, but I could not find it. But we see all these ripples, and let's come back to this, because I picked up on some other ripples over here very early on in looking at this. So I looked at this. This is a different layout, so this has all these imageries. I used this one. I can see it better here. But then I like this one, I guess. This one looks more detailed for seeing nuances, while that one shows like the big glaring things like that it doesn't show here as well. What it does show, I was looking kind of here, like, okay, there's this thing and this thing, so there's this wedge that's kind of focused over to like a point here where then it fans out from and kind of goes through this region, which is not so visible here. The wedge is kind of like here and here, something like there, and then it's feeding into this section, so we can kind of see this with this boundary pretty well here. Way better than this one and the surrounding features like it. But then if we just follow this down here, we see all these like straight lines starting to happen. They're a little different than elsewhere. Like these are more, I don't know what, like coral like, I guess, I don't know. Where these are more reaching a boundary here where they start to become more ripply. Like there's a change as we get to here. Right past here, we start to see these ripples this way, and then this way, around like points, and then around here. Around, and this is generally the boundary of this region. And then this boundary we can see, and this boundary is a separate one. So the continental shelf that is below water looks more like this than like this. Like there's a difference for sure. So this region is below water. So here's the boundary. Under the crust then is this, or within the crust, but like buried in the crust layers, so throughout the crust, so under the crust, is this evidence of propagation through this way. That like, my thought is this current came down here, ran into resistance here, that some reason like caused it to bend out this way, generally speaking, and ran in over here, something of that nature, that maybe contributed to this boundary. Like it went this way and caused that boundary with other currents coming in opposition. But essentially, especially considering in here, like there's a flow in here. There's a flow that continues down here. And then here, though, it starts to create these circles, that go through this whole section. That maybe are visible even, I'm not sure. I didn't really look to see if there's any sign of them. Maybe one there, maybe they're there. This one looks like it's got some flowering. One there, maybe. Definitely some kind of features there. Looks like maybe something there too that goes out like this far. Another circle there. So we're seeing those circles radiating outward, and then it continues up this way, and where do we head to but Chicxulub? Distinctly demonstrating that what is occurring at Chicxulub is first of all related to that it reaches the boundary here where it can like expel energy into this region where there's just not an overlaying material. And so it reaches through. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. Maybe it just like had space to propagate further. And then it even created like a backbone. So energy didn't go as much this way. It might have, like, had it gone over here, Chicxulub would be over here, although it looks like there is some types of things going on here that show that definitely current was flowing. It just was more so the dominant current went this way, recessive current this way, because it created this wall that even looks like it has a trident, maybe with a hook on the end too. Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Maybe some feet. Maybe a knee, elevated knee in the back. The weapon is like a miniature one, smaller than the others. But, I mean, it's distinctly centered on this boundary. It's not an accident. It even spirals. So I guess it, like, the propagation went out into water that maybe was flowing like in and out, because it definitely was flowing this way and up this way, doing like a circular pattern here. So it probably went in here, maybe it went up and around and came back and contributed to pushing in whatever this current was over this way, and it spiraled and created an eddy at this location that then nova'd as the Chicxulub crater, which really kicked off the separation of crust from other crust so that the continents could separate enough to have an internal and external pressure stabilize for a time. This I thought was interesting, this little circle thing here that's kind of off of this. It's almost like there's two maybe Tulsi plants. Tulsi. My last episode was named Sacred Plant in Hinduism. Almost need like a single branch to look at how it spreads. I don't know, maybe. I said, I don't know, maybe. I guess it's visible here now that I see it. Let's see. I'm not sure if I saw it prior having the mirror. It's certainly not as pronounced in either of them as this one. That there is some kind of point here and here, and this one is at the place where like the current went through and into South America, and even went through so much so that it created a conduit channel for flow under the crust to go between. So it has a channel because flow was going here, but it also, I guess, like initially went this way at some point and then ended up going through here at some point, but then it did the same thing, repeated, and pushed out the boundary like this was here. So maybe that's how it pushed out the boundary with that structure. And did it twice to really break the bonds. Like it was triple bonded, Florida bonded, double bonded through Yucatan Peninsula and Central America. Okay, let's see what else we got. So that's cool. These ripples. So going back over here. Like before we go back to here, let's look around a little bit and see how common those ripples are. A little bit here, but not really. We're seeing it down here around. They seem to propagate out from resistance. My thought is that one current hits it, like it's like this pillar, and a current hits it, and instead of the pillar moving, it just pushes another current that's like spread throughout the structure so that it emanates outward, creating that kind of ring structure that's not really in the magnetic anomaly maps. It's not really in here. In here, ring structures are happening due to spiraling currents, not due to like a current hitting this thing, boom, and then rippling out waves around it. That seems to happen in the gravity map. This is interesting. Whoa. Like there's Norway, Sweden, both. Yeah, okay, Norway, but that structure going down around this is not very detectable there. Not very pronounced here either, it doesn't stick out. But here it sticks out. Looks like a current was going that way. Running into resistance over here though. And then it like continued across that way before it opened. Before this opened too. Built a mound there. Flowing across here pretty much. Interacting with Flemish Cap, which I believe was Atlantis. So there's that. That's interesting. Even looks like it like went in here and across here. So maybe in here, across here, but also bending this way, I guess. Just joining this current. Running into resistance. Okay, that's interesting, but okay, let's go on. This I saw, so we got some ripples around this one. So if we kind of go down here, there's this point where it goes that way over to East Africa, and then it goes this way up to North Africa. And in this case, though, it doesn't just go up. It actually goes to this triple thing. So let's just make sure this is where I think it is. This thing, which we talked about, I think it's called like triangulating something in the past, maybe. I don't know why, but where there's like a triple node with a spine between the nodes where they kind of join at the center, very distinct here. And we can see it's even related to whatever, like, created a boundary here. It's almost like a bend point where currents generally went that way and generally went this way. And then, like, ran into resistance over here, like, to, currents colliding. Need some good colliding currents. Something like that. But across. Where they're colliding here. One's coming from the mantle puncture hole region here, across. Filling this pretty much and spilling out. But along a boundary, so like this flow holds this boundary and forces the flow entering into here to actually go through like a focal point where it then goes out this way. Building material from all the pressure this way that's just flowing kind of makes me think of actually it's probably a Kilauea. I hope my computer doesn't just freeze right now. It's like, what do you want, man? I think I posted it, this. Where this current just keeps flowing into resistance. This way, it's flowing out this way and this way, colliding. Which then it's funneling over that way, maybe. But there's also resistance there, so there's all sorts of stuff going on. Building mounds between it then. Like, because they're just pushing into each other, so it's building this mound. Pretty much this kind of thing going on, though, like, while the Earth is expanding. That below the surface and probably atop the surface, where there's a current coming out this way and this way generally. That's interesting. Is this where the gasket is? So in my Earth's undercurrents video, I'd call this region a gasket. Or no, this one. This one. It's really not visible there, but it looks like it's got a channel through from over here, or vice versa. Oh no, that's a channel through from here. Whatever forms this bends here, which is probably I keep related to this, I guess. I mean, whatever bends this. This current that flows along this boundary that goes straight down, runs into resistance, bends, straight down, runs into resistance, bends, but in this case we see it actually forms a channel through right there. Whoa, it's like a turtle back. It's like the turtle back spine this current comes through, runs into resistance, bends, and then out of there pops the turtle's head, where the current goes through the neck and then bends and shapes a head through like the dominant side filling. I mean, I guess the dominant side going further, so over here. Whereas the recessive side filled more over here, but it's actually not as much flow. It went off to the side here, not straight down. This side, it had to go over, fill pressure, and go out a corner again. And then it goes into, I guess, like a region where there's just a lot of pressure anyway. But it's just being forced through by this narrow channel here. Probably like this current also bending and creating this. And this. And this and this. Okay, what else we got? Antarctica's not too good on this map. It's pretty cool stuff down here. Cool stuff here, but we still are not seeing all that many of the radiating things. Like, they're not continuous. So we've established they're not everywhere. Maybe they're common in this map, but they're not everywhere. We see lots of little circles on this one. And like abnormal places, maybe. Maybe not. Doesn't have all the definition of Australia, that's for sure. Of the magnetic anomaly map. Doesn't show that. Kinda shows that. That and that. Don't see all the definition. Other things, though. This is interesting. Whoa. Is that visible? I thought that was under Australia for a second. I guess that might be going like this way. That's probably that. I thought it was under Australia. Like in this region, I thought it was going up here. I was like, what? Okay, okay. Well, let's go back here then. Really see that pronounced here. Those ripples. I guess we see it here pretty well too. Here pretty well, here pretty well. Here pretty well. Whoa. Does it have like rings? Like, are the ripples here radiating through everything? That would be so cool. To the point where it creates like longer structures further away. Because in essence, let's just look at this. How do I keep turning this? Okay. Mantle puncture holes here. Mantle puncture hole is here. I've noticed this a couple times, but I haven't really looked that close at it. But I was looking at it today, thinking about how maybe the Himalayas were getting like conveyor belted in by an eddy here. So there's the mantle puncture hole, but then there's a like another ammonite shape here that has a nucleus here. It spirals out generally around here. That goes up pretty far, like maybe this is this batholith I heard about today, the DAC batholith map. Which is above the Himalayas. North of the Himalayas is like a support structure behind them. All that, like almost like a. My computer is not happy with me right now. It's like, dude. I guess we can't even use this. This image kind of had it. The dock range, high Himalayas, Spontang ophiolite, which is, I think, the highest layers on the top of the Himalayas. The DAC range, though, is approaching. There's Tarim Basin. Where's here, I guess? Where's Tarim Basin? I guess the batholith is just beyond this. It's essentially like a, what is that game? One of those rake things you push forward and it just accumulates stuff in front of it. This batholith seems to be doing that. And possibly because it's... Oh my god. I guess I'll stop here. After I can see what I'm gonna say here, that's about it. Computer needs some love. Oh my god. Nothing wants to do it. Alright then. Well, we saw that eddy on the magnetic anomaly map, and then all those circles and like radiating, emanating points. Very much makes me think that maybe that was pulling the layers together somehow, like scooping like Asia and India together while compressing the Tethys Sea that had only temporarily formed in the Earth expansion process. Just compressing it, rising it, making the Himalayas, but then at the same time water is flowing, which is etching it and removing large quantities of its materials, leaving behind what we see today, where like metamorphism happened because of the compression and probably other things, just like heat present, maybe just the compression. I mean, I know the temperature is high, ultra high temperature and pressure, but I'm just not sure that it would take more than the pressure to induce temperature, and it would maybe not even need much more than that. Okay, well, unfortunately, I guess I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. Later.